aloha in out there. Spread a little aloha around the world. At breakfast with Bob.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, our Not Quite Kona edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Master Spas. As fuels go longer, Hoka Let's Fly, DeBoer Wetsuits, Premium Plus Sports, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. We just sent out over $8 million to challenged athletes all over the world to get them the equipment, training, and travel. It's a game of life through sport. Our next guest is a swim coach to Lionel Sanders, who probably had one of the best swims he's ever had when he won Ironman 17.3 Oceanside a couple of weeks ago. Coach Justin Slade joins us right now. Justin, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Very well. How about you?
I am wonderful.
Nice.
So, as somebody who's been involved with this silly sport going way, way back, it seems like with running and swimming, every couple of years, it's like, okay, it's all about how far you swim. It doesn't matter how fast you swim. Or it's same with running. It's okay. It's all about intensity. Forget about doing long distance. It seems like they rotate year after year after year. When you grew up, I'm guessing as a swimmer, what was your first exposure to it? Was it swim long, or was it swim fast, or both?
It was swim long. It was swim long. That was back in the early 80s. And yeah, if you wanted to be a swimmer, you had to be able to get in that pool and swim some lengths, man. Swim some lengths.
And what was your distance?
When I swam, well, I swam from a really young age. So really across the 16, 17 years that I swam, I did everything from the 50 all the way up to the mile points, and then kind of came back down to the sprints before I was done. So across the board, really.
Was the goal early on? Was it, hey, I want to go to the Olympics? What was the drive?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Early on, I mean, I think that's every little kid who's really into swimming. That's their dream, right? I'm going to go to the Olympics. I want to go to the Olympics. I was pretty good for the area I was in. I grew up in South Africa, and at an early age, we were exposed to pretty big names who had come across the States, and a couple of them even broke world records and so on. So you knew that was something that was attainable. So early on, that's exactly what I was striving for. And then as you get older and you realize your limitations, then the goals get slightly less.
Did the goal then become triathlon for you, or did it go right from swimming to coaching?
No, right from swimming to coaching. I swam all the way through my youth years. And then, as many of the guys had done in South Africa at the time, we were kind of cut off from the rest of the world pretty good at that point. So I wanted to come and swim in the States, continue swimming. That's how I got to the United States, was swimming. Swam at Cal State Bakersfield and Arizona State, and then got right into swim coaching while I was studying. Finished my swimming career, realized I was good, done. Got right into coaching, and I've actually coached swimming ever since, coming up on, I think, 30 years of it.
Wow. So as a swim coach and somebody who started in the 80s, all of a sudden this silly sport of triathlon starts, and you've got all these people who, it's not just now teenagers. Now you've got older folks who can barely make it across the pool and say, I want to do Ironman.
I want to do an Ironman. Yeah. So I've had guys like that, since really early on. In fact, my first coaching experience was with a master's group. I got introduced to coaching by a guy by the name of Ron Johnson. And he had a massive master's group in Phoenix, in Tempe. And so my first exposure was adults. And like you said, I mean, 25, 30% of them, they want to do the Ironman. That's what they're swimming for.
Exactly.
So, and then, that was, I then at that point also got involved in kids swimming and competitive swim. And kind of my path went that way for a long time, until really COVID, when Barry Shepley showed up at my pool and introduced me to a couple of Canadian Olympians that he had under his care at that point, and needed them to be able to swim. And he got me in the pool with them, and shortly after that, it was Lionel and Heather, and shortly after that, Sam, and then they just kind of started all flowing through. And I just have enjoyed coaching the triathletes from that point.
Yeah, well, I know that Kat Matthews and Ashley Gentle and Emma Pallant-Browne, but also, what's cool about what you get to do is you work with those guys who want to make a living doing this. And then you've got, Bob Knuckey and Tim Bradley. You've got some of the older guys who are from my age range.
Yeah, yeah.
Who want to get faster. And that's the cool
Oh,
thing
yeah.
about our sport. You can get
Oh, yeah.
faster as you get older.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, many other age groupers, not even at the level of Bob and Tim. I mean, they're getting down to there where, they first show up and it's literally a struggle to swim through 100, Hey, I can't keep I have to stop. I have to lift my face up. So I really work with them and that's what I enjoy mostly, is the ones who really have this fear of it and a belief at the time that they're not going to be able to swim, and then kind of helping them and showing them and encouraging them really more than anything, to the point where, they turn around and they're swimming 2,000, swimming 3,000, swimming 4,000. So yeah, it's a fun time. And, having those big dogs around has really kind of given me some exposure to where I'll have many more of those people coming here and asking for help. So
I remember back when Lucy Charles Barkley first got into triathlon, we were interviewing her in Kona. And I mean, I knew you guys, the pro swimmers, swim a lot, but she was back in 2012 training for 10K open water and a 1500. And I was like, so give me an idea what type of yardage you're swimming a week. She goes, 100K. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But that's what it took, right? To do
Absolutely.
that type of stuff.
And I mean, someone like Lucy's had a huge advantage anyway, because she's done that yardage. So probably fine she doesn't do that yardage anymore, but she's done it and she has that big base to draw on. And of course, most of the swimmers, most of the triathletes, like Lionel and the rest of them, like, swimming was not in their growing up thing at all. I mean, maybe a little bit of running and biking, but they didn't swim. So, they've missed out on those years and years and years of when these swimmers, front pack swimmers, were doing those, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 weeks. And, you can't fake that, and you can't bypass it either. So you've got to figure out a way to, if you really want to be in there, you've got to figure out how to do the lengths, and I think that's where Lionel is right now. He's realized, I mean, Lionel, he's gone through tons of iterations of this, and he's tried it all, and he's gone long, and he's gone short, and he's gone intense, and he's gone with technique, and he's gone with feel, and we're back right at the beginning again, where, hey, we're going to do some yards. He's going to get in and swim. If swim is truly his weakest discipline, then he needs to spend more time swimming than he does the other two.
Right.
That's the simple way we're looking at it.
It's fascinating because it used to be, the thought was, okay, swim is my weakness. I'm just going to have to ride faster and run faster, and the swim is what it is. But the reality now is everybody can bike and run. So you have to be there out of the water. You have to be a contender. You can't be that far back.
Yeah. And I think especially from a mental point of view, I mean, physically, maybe these guys can make it up on the bike. I mean, you've seen they're absolute beast on the bike. So physically it can be done, but the mental place you put yourself in when you're, 3, 4, 5.5 minutes back, I think mentally that's just so draining on them. And on the flip side, when Lionel gets out and he has 90 seconds, I mean, he may as well have heard 15 seconds compared to what he's been hearing. And mentally, he's just freed up there to, like, man, there's no pressure now. I got time to work my way into this. And then you see what can happen. I mean, let's say he's over the hill, and I don't know.
No, the nice thing about this sport is you can do it forever. And there's really no reason. When the people back in the day, it was, okay, you're sort of done in your mid to late 30s. And then Dave Scott went off and got second at the Ironman when he was 40. And Mark Allen won it when he was 37. And Alexander won when he was 38. So there's really no reason that you can't be successful as an older athlete. When Lionel first came to you, what did you see and what was the plan?
When he first came, I just I saw his intensity right away. And he really we had a long conversation. He came in with Aaron. We had a long talk and, agreed like, hey, as I tell most of my swimmers, hey, come try it out. Give it a week. Get a feel for me, what I do. I get a feel for you, and we can go from there. And right away, when he got in the water, I was surprised how well he swam.
Yeah.
The way everyone had spoken of him and the way he spoke of himself and the impression I'd been given, I was really expecting a lot worse than what I saw. So, and that I told him right away, was, man, you're a lot better swimmer than what you're giving yourself credit for, and certainly what other people are describing. Obviously, the basics, the things you can, well, everybody seems to be able to see and comment on and describe, lack of mobility a little bit, left arm that stays really low, catch that's not quite there. I mean, those basics that any swim coach or any actually person with eyes can look and see and evaluate. So anyway, watching him, immediately to me, the biggest thing that I thought would make a difference was him really trying to, what we call, build a relationship with the water, kind of connect better with that water.
Yeah.
It sounds artsy-fartsy, it sounds a little out there, but really water, the actual stuff, it's weird. I mean, water is some weird stuff to try and work through. And not getting really like, you're laying completely in it. It's in your ears, it's in your nose, it's in every orifice you have. You're in there, you can't breathe when it's surrounding you. It's just a unique stuff. And more than anything I saw with Lionel was still what I see with a lot of swimmers, was that, hey, I want to get in and I want to get out of this stuff as quick as I can. I have no desire to really get intimate with the water. So that was my first kind of way I wanted to go with him, was just to get him to really try and love the water.
Exactly. Yeah.
And various ways of doing that, making him comfortable in there, making him really uncomfortable in there. Working much more, definitely taking the focus off of how well he was swimming, how fast he swam, even how far he swam. For those first months and maybe even couple of years, it was a constant battle of, we're not doing enough. Yeah, but you're not in a place to do enough yet. And that's the big thing about yardage, right? Is I don't think Lionel could have done the yardage he's doing now 4 years ago and it be as effective as it is right now. He wasn't in a space to do it at that point. Right. He might have told he would have told me he was, and he would have battled his way through it. But when you watch him do the yards now, he's really fully engaged with the water the entire time. And he impresses me.
The thing about Lionel, and I've covered him for a decade now, and the last time I interviewed him, we talked about it. I said, Lionel, if you look from 2014 till now, you're one of the winningest triathletes in history. The amount of wins that you have had, you're amazing. Yeah. But he's always beating himself up. And he's always, like I saw him in 2017. He had a 10-minute lead off the bike. He ran a 2:51 marathon, and Patrick Lange from Germany ran a 2:39, broke the course record to beat him, right? So if this guy had run, and beat him by 2 minutes. So if this guy had run 2:41, Lionel wins the Ironman. Yeah. Lionel did everything right, and the guy had an amazing race and had to break the course record to beat him. Yep. Rather than go home and go, hey, I got to figure out how to find 2 minutes, it was, let's rip everything up. And that, you've seen it up close and personal. I think he underestimates his talent and how he's an amazing athlete. He's incredibly durable. You look at the number of Ironman and 70.3 races he's done, besides when he crashed every once in a while, he has been healthy as a horse. Oh, yeah. So I've been so impressed with him, except for him beating himself up. Like, if somebody beats you, somebody beats you. That's all right. But I love the fact, it sounds like when looking at some of the things you do, you'll have him swim with fins, you'll have people on either side of him, you'll have him, with a rope. You're doing a lot of different variety to keep him excited. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And bottom line, I mean, you
hit the nail on the head. It's building confidence. It's just building confidence, because that beating yourself up, right? That's a lack of confidence.
That's lack of confidence. Yeah.
That's a lack of confidence. So, and that's something deep down inside, deep down inside. So addressing that and coming to terms with that and planning to overcome that it takes a lot, man. It takes a lot. And yeah, with Lionel, I've always said it's way beyond physical. I mean, really, he's been capable of swimming well from even before I started working with him. I mean, certainly since I've been working with him, he has not once gone out there and, what I would say, swam to his potential, what I see on a daily basis. If he would just go out there and swim the way he shows us here that he can swim, he'd be absolutely fine every single time. He'd be not necessarily a front pack swimmer, but that little area that he's kind of honing in on where he wants to be. I want to be in that second pack, 90 seconds back.
Yeah.
On the long distance. Perfect. And he's quite capable of doing that. So it's just trying to build that confidence and really instill it in him. Especially when the tough times hit, because as I try and tell him all the time, because I'll tell you a secret about Lionel. He loves to complain in the pool. He loves to complain. I mean, if it's not pretty perfect conditions, he'll let you know. Coach, it's a little cold. Coach, this is a little hard. Coach, he'll tell you if it's that guy's swimming too close to me. If I had that guy and I try and tell him all the time, like, Lionel, you're gonna get in the race, and it's gonna be so far from ideal. It's ridiculous. So let's just get used to this idea of it's not going to be ideal, and we're still going to have to perform.
It's hand-to-hand combat when you're in the open water, right?
Who was the guy? Somebody said, right? It's everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face.
Exactly.
And then it's and that's, I tell him in the swim, like, you're literally going to get whacked in the head, Lionel. The biggest race of your career is going to be right there. Somebody's arm's going to come around. They're going to knock your goggles right off. Somebody's going to yank on your back of your wetsuit. What are you going to do? Are we suddenly going to be 6 minutes back? Or we're going to figure it out quick, get back on track, and just get to swimming?
The other side of that is when he was swimming and didn't have the confidence and would immediately get dropped, you're swimming by yourself. You're not getting hit, right? As you get better, all of a sudden you're in the mix. People are going to be, you're going to get, now again, you're back in hand-to-hand combat. People are there.
Absolutely.
They don't want you there. They know how you ride the bike.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real game. I mean, that's another thing I enjoy about this whole working with triathletes a little more than swimming, is I feel like the strategy and the game of it is, in swimming, man, there's not much of a game. It's a grind. No. Swimming's a grind. It's a grind. Yeah, they say there's tactics, but 100 and 200 races, the tactic is take it out fast and go fast.
Exactly.
But triathlon, there's a lot more to it than that. And especially when these guys are out there for 7.5, 8 hours. I mean, there's going to be a lot go on. And, like that, same as they say in swim, like, that first 50, you can't win it on the first 50, but you can certainly lose it. And I think it's the same on the triathlon. You can't win your triathlon on the swim, but you can definitely lose the entire triathlon on the swim.
We've seen that. People lose their goggles. People get stung by a jellyfish. Either they get hit in the head and they drop back. That stuff happens all the time.
All the time.
So when Lionel comes back after having this great race, winning in Oceanside, people are counting him out. He's only 90 seconds back out of the water, getting him back in the pool. And obviously you want to build on the confidence that he just gained. You don't want him to become complacent and start questioning. What's that strategy?
So that's where kind of the rest of the team comes in, right? And they're making the plan for how that's a great question. A great question. So I rely on the other guys on the team a little bit to dictate, how do we get back into this? I mean, I know what I do with a swimmer coming back from a big grueling weekend, how to get them back into it. But coming off something like that, I don't have as much experience.
Right.
So the way we've worked it now is he was obviously right back in the water on Sunday morning back in the water, couple of easy 1,000, trying to flush out the system. Same happened on Monday, same happened on Tuesday, his travel day. Wednesday, we started to get back at it. And then, believe it or not, yesterday and today were two of the biggest, hardest days he's done. So we're, we took 4 or 5 days, but we're right back up to it. And I think we'll grind it out here another, probably a solid 2 weeks. And then I would imagine come down slightly again going into, I should remember the races. I'm not good at remembering the races.
I would say,
Did you notice that?
I think he's got St. George. He
does
Texas.
have St. George.
That's St. George, yeah.
St. George. A lot of them are going to Texas, but Lionel's going to St. George.
He's going to St. George. And
I caught a really hard time for saying that his next race was Indian Wells. I knew it was in California, but
so basically with him, it's more like volume and intensity equals success.
Yeah, right now it builds his confidence. If he's swimming a lot of yards, as we actually, I think we were just talking about yesterday, when you're swimming, 5.5, 6, 7, 7,500 a day, and then you get to the morning of the race and the swimmers are 2,000. I mean, that's pretty simple. Like, hey, this is an easy swim. All I got to do is a 2,000 this morning. Or if we get to the long race, hey, all I got to do is a 4,000 and I'm done. It's kind of simple in that way. And Lionel said he felt that this weekend at Oceanside. Like he came out of the swim and he's like, that's it.
Yeah.
23 minutes. He's used to grinding it out for, 110, 120 minutes every day right now.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not talking garbage yards either. Like, hey, let's put some pool boy and paddles on and pull 5 1,000s. We don't do stuff like that.
So
he's swimming.
He's swimming. Yeah. And in terms of his lane mates, a lot of guys who are about the same speed, or do you have guys who push him?
So we're really lucky because of, Lionel's credited himself really, because he's here and people know he's here. We get a lot of both pros and good age group swimmers who will just cycle through. So really, he has he doesn't have some lane mate or training partner in the pool here that's with him for months and months and months at a time. But somebody will come in and they'll be here for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And man, we'll get in a groove with them and they'll help, they'll contribute, and they'll be there really helping him and gaining the benefits of training with him as well. And then, somebody else will come in and that person will be drifting out and another 3 will come in. And it just really works like that right now where whoever's there, we figure out how to kind of incorporate them into helping what we're doing. And we'll do, it's not difficult to take swimmers of different levels and push them up against each other so they can push each other in a workout.
Right.
That a swim coach who's been around for a while, that's not a difficult thing to do. So really we can use anyone. And as long as they're willing to swim up and down, they can be a benefit to what he's doing for sure. In the same vein, someone who comes in and can swim. I mean, Mark Dubrick will come in here and he's going to swim circles around Lionel. So you could look at it like, well, that's useless to us. But we can use Mark in the same way we use the slower ones and manipulate it to where, man, we're in the latter parts of the set, and really Mark is a huge help to what he's doing at that point. Right now we've had, I don't know if you know, Elliot Buck. He's been
coming back from his accident. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been here for 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, him and his crew have been a huge help to Lionel over the last 6 weeks, for sure.
That's great.
Yeah, so, we'll really, and there's many top-end age group swimmers who can be of a benefit to Lionel. They don't have to be a pro. I mean, we have some who come in here and they're not pros, but they know how to swim.
You know what's great about that is they're able to, there's no competition there, right? These guys are racing age group, and they happen to be really good swimmers, and Lionel can gain from that without having to worry about, oh, it's Sam Long, I've got to try to beat him next week. It's
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
different deal, but everybody wins.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I've even found with any of the pros who come in, I mean, I don't know how it is on the bike and the run, but in the pool, they all seem really willing to kind of work with each other and
Yep.
encourage each other, help each other. I mean, aside from those front pack swimmers, right? And we have a few of them. Most of them are the pros anyway. They're second, third pack swimmers, and man, all they want to do is swim better.
Exactly.
So they're all in the same boat.
They steel sharpens steel. They can all
Yep.
push each other to be
Yep.
better. And the key, obviously, for Lionel is the least amount of effort he can use in the swim to be up there. He's going to have that. He's going to have that energy for the bike and a run. Because in the past,
Yeah.
he'd burn himself out trying to swim hard, and you lose something in the bike and run.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I come at Lionel from the other side.
Yeah.
And I truly don't believe that he pushes himself, and he very much gives me what you've just said. I can't push too hard on that swim. If I do, I'm burned out. I can't do the rest of the race. And I come from him from what we were discussing earlier, where, hey, if you don't come out of that swim in a good enough time, it doesn't matter how much energy you save, because you're never going to see the front of that race anyway.
Exactly.
So it's really you're balancing this line, and I think I would like to see Lionel push harder on the swim. I mean, in my opinion, he's going to go in at Kona, and he might not be the fastest swimmer out there, but he will be the most in shape swimmer on that starting line, and therefore he can push harder than anybody else. And they might still beat him, but he's going to have the ability and the training behind him where he can push that swim pretty hard and still be able to, get on with the rest of his 6 hours.
What's fascinating is this, when you look at what Lionel just did at Oceanside, winning that race again, I think people were starting to question, is this guy done? Is his career over? Is this about as good as he's going to get? And now it's like a new lease on life. You look at it and go, okay, he's right there. If he's only going to be, and if that was 90 seconds in the first race of the year, if he's going to be a minute down in a 70.3 or 2 minutes down in an iron distance race, all of a sudden this guy is a player.
Exactly. I mean, the Lionel who is involved near the beginning of the bike and the Lionel who is completely out of it at the beginning of the bike is just two completely different beasts. Completely different. And I think more than anything, I mean, everybody else may have kind of, a new lease on life and he's back and so on. But more than anything, I know that it has to make Lionel feel really confident in Lionel. And like we talked about earlier, that's the hugest thing. I mean, once these animals get some confidence behind them, man, who knows what they can do.
I know exactly. And you got a guy who's been a winning machine, and all of a sudden he sees and knows that he can win again. So he's going to do whatever it takes. I mean, nobody has ever questioned Lionel Sanders' work ethic. That is like never been there. It's always been about him doubting himself.
Yeah. And then the jumping around thing, jumping around, trying this, trying that. Let's reinvent the wheel. And I know from a swimming point of view, we've been through a couple of iterations here for sure. I mean, we've been through it, but we've also had it out about it. We've talked it through, argued about it, come out of it the other side. And I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. I feel better about it than I ever have.
How special was it for you to be there in Oceanside on Saturday to watch him 90 seconds back out of the water and then see the way he pretty much controlled that run and won that race from the front?
Oh, it was indescribable. Like I was literally on like a cloud from that moment I heard Lionel 90 seconds back. And I'm like, what? And then he came around, and I kind of sort of knew at that point. Like I was like, man, I didn't say to Talbot because I didn't want to jinx it, But I certainly in my mind, I'm like, man, he's gonna win. I think he's gonna win. Like he can win. From this point, you can just see how it can play out. Whereas when you're in that chasing mode and he really is now burning a lot of matches on that bike. It's going to be a struggle. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was only my second race that I've gone to watch Lionel. And the
Really?
first one was St. George when he came second. I was at that one. And that was incredible as well.
Now, you know what's funny about that is I looked at that race as, besides the Patrick Lange race where he got second in Kona, he was just so professional all day long because he came out of the water a little behind and he was with Sam and the other Uber cyclists, but he didn't go with him. He stayed calm. I thought that was one of the best races he's ever had in terms of strategy. Yeah. Took his time at the end of the bike, put his running shorts on. I'm going to run now, and ended up out sprinting to Braden Curry to get second place.
Yeah.
I thought
that was an incredible day as well.
Yeah, and I know he probably wasn't happy with it because he didn't win. But
yeah,
you know how he is. But that was I thought that was such an epic day because he did everything right. When you do everything right, strategy. He didn't make any mistakes. He didn't burn matches. He saved it for the run. Had a great run, and had enough for a sprint at the end of 140.6 miles at a world championship. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, when he gets it right, and for Lionel, I mean, it's hard for me because I feel like pressure on it a little bit, but it comes down to the swim. It comes down to the swim a lot, Always. If we get a good swim in there, the rest of the day can. I mean, that's the way I see it. So we just got to keep building the confidence on the swim.
Love it. Justin, thank you so much for taking time. Really pleasure to get to. Oh, who's that guy?
Look at that.
Bob Knuckey from Nice.
How you doing, buddy?
At the pool right here.
Why? You're supposed to be up in Canada freezing your ass off. What are you doing there in Arizona?
I'm down here tanning my ass off.
Right in there.
Are you dropping Lionel in the pool?
Yeah, I wish.
When they have the jogging belts on. He leaves giant Lionel behind with a jogging belt.
I love it. Bob.
Nice to see you.
Hey, I didn't realize you were in Oceanside.
Yeah, I was.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was good. Had a good run.
Good man. Good man.
Really good run. He was awesome.
Love it. Hey, Justin, thank you so much for taking time. Congratulations on everything you're doing. Hey, if people want to come and train with you, is there a website? What should people do?
Yeah, just look up Aquabear Swim Club. My number's on that website. Text me. They're more than welcome. More than welcome. We love it.
I love it. Thank you again. Justin Slade has been our guest. Again, Breakfast with Bob, our Not Quite Kona edition. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, Bob.